I feel like psychology is such a big part of trading. Like you can learn the technicals, you can learn everything, you can improve your intuition, but if your psychology is, shit, you just won't be able to manage the money. Welcome everyone to another episode of Traders Talk Podcast, where we sit down with some of the best funded traders, some of the best entrepreneurs in the Forex space. Today, I have an extremely special guest. I'm pretty sure you guys know who this is unless you've been living under a rock. Today, I have the CEO of the Funded Trader Program. I know you guys probably, I'm probably just actually releasing the video of my payout very soon, so you've probably just seen that. A lot of people have been doing the Funded Trader Program in my community and outside of my community. So this is a great opportunity for us to sit down with Angelo and not only get to ask him about his story and how he introduced, like how his life got introduced to Forex, but also some updates and some questions about the Funded Trader Program, which I think is probably one of the top 3 prop firms at the moment. That's my personal opinion, and I'll give my reasons later on. And I don't want to make this podcast too long because I know Angelo's a busy guy. So we're going to go right into the podcast. I'm going to get started. I'm sure you're having a wonderful day, so I'm just going to skip past that part. All right, we're just going to go. So Angelo, I was reading an article. I think you posted on your Instagram or something. It was like from the Miami News or one of the entrepreneur. Right. And it said, you graduated from university and then you kind of went into the whole entrepreneur thing. So my question that I always start off is like, when Angelo graduated from university, what was the game plan for you? Like, were you trying to get a job? Were you going to work a court? Like, did you know about trading before university? Like, what was the game plan at that time?
Yeah. So, first of all, like, good to be here. Obviously, everyone that's in your community, like, really appreciate all the support that everybody's giving us. And I know you doing this interview is definitely a big deal because you held off for a long time. You don't want it to wait till you got paid out. So definitely respect that, about the brand and everything like that. So to get into the question, guys. So when I graduated college, I had a bunch of internships like throughout college, right? I went to Rutgers and, I started to realize in those internships that if I was going to sit in a cubicle or even, just an office setting in general and kind of have a boss and go through this whole thing, like I just realized that was not for me, right? That wasn't going to be the career path that I wanted to go down, right? I realized at that point I needed to do something different, right? I needed to create something myself at that point, right? So the game plan out of college, I can't say that I had necessarily like a crazy game plan because really what I did was I graduated college in like 2017. And then pretty much from there, I was like, I'm going to dedicate all of my time essentially to working on myself, like my clarity of thought, like my intellect, like what I know, what I don't know, and really start to just look online and figure out what are the ways to make money. At that point, the only thing I had known and I had made money on was trading. So I bought some tech stocks and like the Brexit, when everything came down, and I just got lucky, timed the market, and like made that time like a bunch of money, like a couple $1,000. Make money trading. So at that point, like I said, I got into online drop shipping, e-commerce, all these things, and kind of just came down to, I saw, like most of you guys probably have seen like these Forex gurus like on Instagram flashing cars and stuff. And then I'm like, what are these guys? I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing? And then, I started to learn about Forex and leverage. And at the time I didn't have like a ton of money. So it just made a lot of sense from like, you can make a lot of money with a little money, right? So obviously I learned a lot, over the years since then. But that was kind of the plan after college, figure out what am I going to focus all my attention on. Ended up being trading. I took this approach where I don't care if it takes me till I'm 90 years old. Like I'm just going to figure it out. Like that was my approach. Right. So there's no expiration date like on this goal that I had. And that was what I know now, very important, because at that time, if I had said in 2 years, if I don't figure this out, I'm going to quit, which a lot of people do, I would never have started the trader. I would never have made, X amount of money and all this, never have been successful with trading and passing challenges at the time and stuff like that. So yeah, game plan, figure out what I want to do. And then from there, it's just like be persistent and everything like that. And then obviously, the story kind of goes on from there. So I'll leave it back to you and we can get into any follow-up questions.
Okay. So, all right, cool. So you kind of right after university, you kind of knew that you did not want to go down the 9 to 5 route, right? And you had some luck with trading, which was same with me. And you can never put a timeline on trading as well because you don't know how long it's going to take you. Now, I want to know, like, how long did it really take you? Like, what was your learning curve like? Were you one of those people that kind of figured it out pretty quick and you started to make, like, you know, enough to like start to make some decent profits? Like, how long do you, from the day you started foreign currency, like Forex and indices and things like that, to doing challenges, like, how long do you think it really took you to where you said, okay, this is kind of like working out, this could potentially be something I could do?
Yeah, so it took me from when I found Forex trading in it was actually like 2019, the winter of 2019. So that's when I actually found Forex trading. It took me probably 2 years to ever make any money on Forex trading at all, getting a payout from like a funding company. I only really did FTMO. So it was like getting a payout from a funding company, right? Took me about 2 years. And I've seen people more successful in like much shorter time than I was. I think for me, like a big thing was definitely the psychology. And that's what I started to really focus in on was, you know, holding trades. I had a lot of issues like maintaining the orders, right? Like sticking to my strategy. Like I was just battling all of these different emotions. And it really did come down to like, I needed to like figure out kind of myself a bit more before I could become successful with trading. And I've talked about this before with like Forex like stuff. I personally actually went to like a psychologist and I talked to them and I started going to one. Yeah, I went to one. I went to one actually quite frequently. The reason I went it's actually funny. I watched that show Billions, and like they have the psychologist, you know, in their hedge fund or whatever. And I watched Sopranos. It was like kind of stupid, but like I'm like these guys are the fucking bosses of the thing, and they're going to talk to people. Like I need to talk to somebody and like figure out what's going on. So I started going to one, and that should actually change my life. Like, excuse my language. That stuff actually really made an impact because that person like was analyzing how I was thinking and giving me feedback. And that's what caused me to kind of create these new thinking patterns that I have today. So I think that actually was very beneficial. And then from there, not to say that was like the exact reason I became very successful,
Right.
But from there, I definitely noticed, you know, more success after I kind of was done with that. And then after I went to there, she actually referred me to like a life coach, and I talked to a life coach whenever I kind of needed to. And then like now I don't really talk to anybody, but I do think that anybody out there who is struggling with like the psychological side of trading or just in general, I mean, you should just talk to somebody. Like it's important to find the right people to talk to. But I do think that could actually benefit you. So to answer your question, yeah, it took me about 2 years to actually make any money. And I want to like make this very clear to people. Although I did take a year off after college and I really didn't like work at all. Like I had money. So I just kind of spent time trying to learn how to trade, right? And everything like that, and going all in on this dream, right? I did end up getting a job. Like I did end up getting a job, and it's actually funny because I kept trying to be entrepreneurial, and I was like, I need to have my own schedule, everything like this. So I actually started to Uber. So I was Ubering for a little while, and then I met in an Uber somebody like a sales guy. And then he actually got me my first like real job, which was in like sales and like marketing. So I started working in sales and marketing, and he taught me a lot of very interesting things. The guy was a beast, and he taught me a lot of interesting things in sales. And then from there, I got a job in like a pharmaceutical company with my degree, which was IT and operations. So I got a job there. So all this time, you know, again, after college, you know, 22, got like 1 year off, right? And then I got this Uber. I was Ubering like a couple months. Then I got the sales job, worked there for a year. Then I got the pharmaceutical job, worked there for 2 years. All during that time, I was working on trading, right? I was working on building my community on Instagram, right? I was working on all these things, and I kind of use that to fund my business and my ideas. And, you know, I ultimately encourage everyone else to do that. Like I know a lot of people want to just quit their job, and like then if you have no money, I mean, you're just kind of beat, right? So not a good idea at all.
Yeah, so I you know what, I'm a real big believer in everything happens for a reason. And almost like everything you just said, it's like everything that happened in your life was like it prepared you for this moment, right?
Right.
The sales job, the trading, the psychology, all that stuff. We can take a little detour, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I feel like psychology is such a big part of trading. Like, you can learn the technicals, you can learn everything, you can improve your intuition, but if your psychology is, shit, you just won't be able to manage the money. And now that, you've traded yourself, and you obviously have so much back data from the funded trader, do you think psychology is one of the reasons majority of the traders fail or lose challenges, or kind of give up and sort of speak like that?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at it now, granted, it's not for me about trading my own account at this point. I mean, we have so many people trading our money, right? So
Right.
like any other prop firm that's out there, the goal for us is to find the people that ultimately can make us money. Now, what we're seeing, and everyone knows this, like, we're very transparent about this, people that get funded, right? We're still searching for the best people that are funded. Like, this is very much an open thing. Every firm is doing this. Like, to say that the challenge can qualify entirely somebody alone is just simply not true. And the reason being is because, and obviously everyone still gets paid out, whatnot, but as a firm and as us using our data to make money, we ultimately need to consider all variables. And one of the largest variables is going to be the psychology, right? It's going to be the psychology. Like, somebody gets paid out. I'll give you an example. Somebody that gets paid out big, like, what are the percentage of people that get paid out big and then fail their accounts within 48 hours, right? Like, those are the things that we're looking at. And there's so many data points, like hundreds of data points that we're looking at. But to answer your question, it's like, it really all does come down to it's psychological. Like, a lot of these aspects of, obviously some people have like trading strategies or EAs, and they're trying to like be distant from there. But ultimately, the entire market that's being made is fundamentals come out. How is the market interpreting those fundamentals? How is the psychology shifting in the retail market, the institutional market, considering those fundamentals? Maybe they didn't even come out yet and people are preparing for them, right? So I think the wider market is really considering everything and then making these decisions. And even as we transition to a more automated environment, someone at the end of the day is putting inputs to get outputs. And, ultimately they are considering these fundamental things to get those inputs to then get those outputs. So to answer your question, like, yes, the whole entire project, the funded trader program is, and any prop firm, I'm just going to be transparent about this. It's really an experiment on human psychology. Like, it really is. It's really people like, I say this, and we have a video coming out soon with like, what are the numbers? How many people pass? How many people get paid? Stuff like that. And I have a video coming out soon. When we hit 10K on YouTube, subscribers, we're going to drop a video like truth about prop firms. And we're going to talk about some of the numbers and stuff that are very interesting. And for me, I have this theory. It's like, in life, and you could say it's 98.2 or 97.3, whatever. I just call it 98.2. In life, there's 98% of people are going to be your consumers, right? They're going to be people who are consuming products, making excuses, lazy, not putting in work, right? They're the consumers. And then you've got the 2% of people who are the producers, right? The 2% either produce products for the 98, they're highly skilled, they're talented, they're athletes, they're the top of their professions, they're traders. Traders are in the 2% that are extremely high level. So I think no matter what industry you kind of put yourself in, you can kind of separate it into like a 98% and a 2%. And when it comes to like trading, I think 98% of people really are not successful. I mean, we could get into like the nitty gritties of the numbers of like whether it's 95 or 92 or whatever. But that's just kind of my principle. And I just think that literally applies in any industry, in any job, in any skill. Like, and I like to relate this to like, you have a YouTube channel, like you're an influencer somewhat. And it's like, how many people intend to become influencers and start YouTube channels and monetize them? Probably like 2% of people actually monetize it, right? So I just think in any industry, like at the end of the day, like good things are hard. Like making money with YouTube, making money with prop firms, right? Like starting businesses, like these are very difficult things to do. And
for sure,
ultimately with our program, like we're just taking those theories and we're like, we know ultimately that with trading, the market is changing every single day. Like, no, if there was ways to beat the market, if there was strategies that were 100%, the world would be a much different place. But they're not. But people that either for one reason or another can build up an edge, have the discipline, whatever, they can make money. There is the possibility to make money. It's just, it's a lot more difficult than people realize.
Yeah. So, and the point I want to touch on is that you guys are at least providing a legitimate platform, right? With the prop firms, the question is, will this one pay? Will this one cause us trouble, right? And I'm going to touch on a point about myself. I've had a lot of success with prop firms. I've been interviewed by FTMO. I made a lot of money with FTMO, my Forex funds. I'll be honest, the Funded Trader is one program that I've struggled with the most. For some reason, I keep failing your challenges. I'll be honest, I failed the most. I've never failed this many challenges besides yours. I don't know what it is, but I finally did pass the 200K and got a nice payout, and hopefully I'll continue doing that. It's not easy to trade funded accounts. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've done it for the whole year. I've kept the FTMO for over 11 months, and MFF for over 10 months. But going back to the fact that you guys are actually providing a legitimate platform. So I really want to congratulate you, Blake, the whole team, because I remember seeing you guys launch, and I remember you guys had that 10-day consistency rule in the start, right? And I was like, okay, so what's this? And then the customer support. And I want to touch on one other thing about your customer support. And I don't want to waste too much time, but the other day I had 4 different problems with you guys. There was a problem with my affiliate payout. There was a problem with my real payout, something with deal, and emails not coming to my work email. And I don't know who that girl's name is, or if it's a girl or a guy, but she literally, I messaged, but it starts with a V. Yeah. So I just messaged the support. She literally sat there for 1 hour and she fixed all of my issues. And I was like, wow, I cannot believe that every issue I threw at her, she just like was fixed, like boom, boom. So your customer support has gone through the roof. Like, it's crazy. You guys are doing great. And this was at 9 p.m. And I was like, I can't believe she's not tired of just all my problems that I'm just throwing at her. So you guys have done a great job. And I think you guys deserve, the business. You guys deserve the respect. But for the viewers that don't know too much about the Funded Trader program, like, can you give us a little quick breakdown of why perhaps somebody should, well, I know why I would pick you guys over FTMO, but why somebody should pick you guys over FTMO, or maybe even a stronger or like a harder competitor, like maybe my Forex funds, because they're a little bit cheaper at times. Yep. Just a little question that maybe for people that have a little bit of doubt, you can, answer that one.
Yeah, I mean, this all just comes back to what were our principles when we first started the program. I remember, like, when we first started, Blake had mentioned you would potentially do an interview at some point, and things were a lot different then as they are now, right? Things are a lot more improved now, and so respectfully, you took your time with everything, and so kudos to you for that. But basically, in the beginning, it was like FTMO. We're offering a very similar thing to FTMO, right? We're offering a very similar thing to my Forex funds. Granted, we are the only prop firm in the industry, the standard challenge with the 6%, at least that I know of, right? I think there's like a couple small ones that are popping up now, but we are like one of the most reputable ones that have the 6% daily drawdown. As we know, my Forex funds has the 12% and they charge less, whatever. So for us, it was like, all right, well, the challenges, we are going to have very similar terms to all these other firms. So it's like, how are we going to essentially differentiate ourselves? And I know from my perspective, like, the number one thing was customer support. Like, I know you're mentioning it now. And I was trading with FTMO, my Forex funds. Like, there was a time, not to like put anyone under the bus, when I would email my Forex funds and you wouldn't hear back for like days.
No, 48 hours at least.
Yeah.
Even your accounts was 48 hours with them.
Yeah. Like, it was nuts. Like, and so I had that experience with them. And then I had an experience with FTMO where it was like very similar. Like, it felt like you were talking like a robot. And so I'm just like, if we literally have personalized customer support, obviously within our means, and we're continuously trying to improve that customer support, that is going to be like one of the biggest angles that we obviously take. Now, the other biggest thing from my perspective was I knew out the jump, we weren't going to have like the best product, right, in the world. Right. But one of the things that's very important to me is like, how are we listening to the customer and gaining feedback from them so we can consistently, within our means, improve the product. And anyone that's been in, and what we've done to do that is the Discord, right? So before us, like my Forex one had a Discord. We know it's like a war zone in there, but like a lot of other firms don't really have Discords, or like we know FTMO doesn't really have a group chat or whatever. Like they have Forex Factor or something. So I was like, if we can create like a great Discord with a great experience where it's like people are in there, they're not trashing each other. You're not trashing like obviously us, like everyone's working to build this together. You know, it's like an actual community environment. And then we can get feedback, like as a company, like getting customer feedback is so critical. So if we can get feedback from them, then we can constantly improve the product. So like the other pillar, it's like customer support, and then literally just listening to the customer. Like we're just listening to you at all times and improving it as much as we can over periods of time and communicating with you. Like I remember at a time, FTMO was like, oh my God, the CEO did an interview. Like, who is this guy? And so it's like we're very out of touch with the people in leadership in these companies. And so for me, obviously, you know, like I'm in the Discord. Blake is obviously reachable if you do reach. Yeah. If you reach out to Blake, he's reachable. He's very much like transparent, obviously with his YouTube and everything like that. So I think that's something that like really differentiates us in regards to just our personal like human touch that we're adding into it. And obviously like we really want to, when it comes to like payouts, when it comes to the technology, when it comes to the website, when it comes to all these things, like we want to offer the best that we can when it comes to technology. I think technology is extremely important. You know, recently with the Trade Hub, it definitely gives us a jump from where we were. And considering like day one, we were literally like using FX Book to like track the account. You know, like there's a lot of improvement that's gone on to this point. So the technology, and I think at this point now, like we're leveling the playing field and with the Trade Hub to be at the level of like FTMO and my Forex funds and all these other firms. So yeah, I just think that putting all those together, and then the concept of like TFT, the kingdom, like gamifying the experience, creating this platform where users are meeting each other, sharing their stories, right? Like I think that whole environment of like fun and like this and theme, I think that that's very important as well, because at the end of the day, we're all in our like houses or like, you know, separate from society. So trading can be very like you could feel very disconnected. And for me, like meeting my partner with Forex League and being able to communicate with him and share ideas, like that was what helped propel me to have more success. So creating a community with the funded trader and having everyone come together, share stories and stuff like that, I think is like way more valuable than people realize. So yeah, we want to continue to double down on that. We have really cool projects coming up. Like I won't really hint at them too much, but like we're working on more ways to kind of get into Web 3.0 and like make all of this kind of happen. But I think to this point, we've done like a pretty good job with all of it.
Yeah, I think the one point that you touched on that I think would definitely set you apart from MFF, or if I know when I'm talking MFF, I don't know who I'm talking to. It's just an email. It's just some person, right? With FTMO, you have absolutely no idea on that chat. It's like it really is talking to a robot. But of course, I'm not knocking FTMO. They've got great service. They've got, you know, it's fast, efficient. They have good technology, whatever. But what I really liked about you guys was the recent customer support that just went up. Like I can't believe your customer support. It's blazing fast now. I see that you're actually actively you know, in Discord, like talking to everybody. I don't know how you have this much time, but I see you in there. And the other point that I wanted to touch on was that, you know, I'm sure you as a trader know this as well. Trading is a really lonely game. You know what I mean? Like last year was a profitable year for me. I made a lot of money, but I was actually kind of depressed sitting in this room by myself. This year, when I have my own trading LP program and we have 600 people in Discord, even if I have a really bad losing day, it can actually be fun to just be chatting, talking to people. Yeah. And, you know, maybe somebody's going through a tough time and they see you, the CEO, in there, you know, cracking jokes or talking back. Or I think that community aspect can really push people to come back and reuse the product, because it's more than just a service, a product, right? It's more of a feeling, right? It's like what it's a value that you're bringing, right? You're bringing value to it.
It's an entire experience. Like it's like the funded trader experience, right? Like you're gonna come into the Discord. I'm gonna be there. If there's issues, they're gonna get addressed. There's gonna be people. We're starting to do those AMAs where I interview people who got funded and got paid out. So
tomorrow,
yeah, it's really all about that experience that we're creating. And like even like it's funny because our video editor, like he watched the AMA from like 2 weeks ago, and he's like, I'm super inspired now to get into trading. And like, I think this is something that I want. So I'm just like people are getting inspired by these other people who are having this success and like having these wins. And if I can just be the guide to obviously help everyone kind of get into that position or become inspired or whatever, that's ultimately, what my role is right now. Like once upon a time, I was more focused with trading and whatnot, but at this point right now, I'm mainly more focused on like TFT, other projects that I have going on, because it's such a good opportunity for obviously all the clients, obviously for myself, for our team. Like it's really just it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. So to answer your question, like I'm definitely available, a lot of hours of the day, but at the same time, like I do have a very like balanced kind of schedule, the way that I go about things in my life. But like, that's something very important to me, is it's like, if there are issues, like I want to make sure they get addressed like the way they should be.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so let's transition to a little bit into your knowledge, right? Because you have a lot of knowledge running the program for the last year. You know how many people fail. Why? So from your experience, right? This is a quick question. Do you think traders fail in trying to get funding? Is it typically they don't have the right education, they don't have the right psychology? Or is it that they're so attached to this challenge term, like I'm doing a 100K challenge, they go tell all their friends? And do you think that's what makes them drop the ball? Because like one rule I have in my program is take the challenge you can afford to lose 5 times in a row, so you don't have so much attachment to the money, right? Do you think it's the money part? Like people are taking challenges that are too big for them, that they can't really afford to lose that money?
So yeah, there's a lot of parts, I think, to that question. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. The way that I see things, like as we're evaluating accounts, that are funded, that are in phase 2, everything like that, is there's kind of like 2 things people are doing, which are not good. One is they're using way too much size, too much leverage. They're over risking on all of their trades, and it leads to this kind of like, eventually you will fail, right? That's like ultimately what it comes down to. And then the other thing is some people have good strategies. They like find an edge and they're killing it, right? And then for whatever reason, maybe it's psychological, maybe something happens in their personal life, right? Maybe all of the winning gets to them and they start to take a trade they otherwise wouldn't have taken. They change, like their strategy shifts, right?
Yeah.
So they shift the strategy from when they were winning, and then it becomes a losing strategy. And then that's extremely hard to recover, to kind of transition back to whatever winning strategy you were utilizing. So whatever's causing that, I mean, we're seeing that with all of these people, is like they're finding an edge. It's great. If they just trade that edge over the rest of the year, they'll make a lot of money. But like they're changing in the middle of funding, maybe after 3 months, maybe after 1 month, maybe after a day. Like they're shifting this strategy for whatever reason. I don't know what outside influences are causing this. And they're completely changing the way they're trading. And that's what's causing them to end up failing.
Yeah, so I think there's a different ways that could have been answered, but going back to something you just said, and we're not going to take too much time on this, but this is a great opportunity. Yes, it's a great opportunity for you, but I think in a Forex space, maybe 7-8 years ago, I don't think this type of prop firm availability was there, right? Yeah. So like just looking at an example for myself, for if you can get funded and you can get a payout, so I got around $15,000, right? At my last Fortune $1,000, I was working at a very good job, like a really good company. For me to make that amount of money, because I'm in Canada, so the US dollar conversion to Canada, that would be $21,000. It would take me 4.5 months to make that money that I made in 20 days. So for traders that can control their emotions and actually work their process out and get funded through you guys, it's a hell of an opportunity. Even if you get paid once every 3 months or something, right? It's a win-win situation for everybody at this point. So I've got about 2 or 3 questions from my own Discord community, and I just want to quickly ask you those questions so we can get some information. I'm sure other people want to know these as well. One of the questions that came out was so a lot of people in my community are from the UK and Europe and other parts of the world. So they're asking, are you ever going to bring in a different currency account? So like GBP, Euro, is that on the list at any point?
Yeah, I think that's something that's been asked for quite some time now. So from my perspective, I don't personally at this moment know like the ins and outs of like the development work that's required to do that. I wouldn't think that there'd be any reason to prevent that from happening. So I just think that that's something that if it's something that really people like is desirable for people, like throwing that in the suggestions channel, like in the Discord, and then like driving some traffic to that post or whatever is definitely a good way to kind of get the attention of like things that we want to put on the development schedule and do. But yeah, I mean, I'll take a note of it. Again, as of right now, I don't think there's any limitations to kind of doing that. It's just a matter of how do we add it to the website, internally. How do we, if we have GBP accounts, and we have USD accounts that we trade on, how does that all work out and everything like that? So yeah, I think it is something that's possible to bring to the platform.
Cool. All right, let's hop on to the next one. Somebody else asked, they're not very sure or clear about trade copiers. What is the situation with trade copiers? Are they allowed or are they not allowed with you guys?
Yeah, so I can explain it pretty well. So basically, we have 3 different challenges, right? We have the standard challenge, we have the rapid challenge, we have the royal challenge, right? The royal challenge, and all of them are like a little bit different, right? In what they are. And the royal challenge, we particularly brought to the market because of how many people gave us feedback about, we want EAs, we want no lot size limits, right? Like we want no limits on our accounts, right? So we were like, okay, well, the royal challenge, EAs are allowed, copy trading's allowed, everything's allowed on that account, lower profit target. And so that account in particular, if you have an account with FTMO or my Forex funds, right, you can copy from FTMO, from my Forex funds, from your personal account, you can copy into the royal accounts, right? Those you're able to. Now, and vice versa. If you want to copy from the royal into whatever account you want to, you can do that as well. Now, where it gets tricky is the standard and the rapid accounts, right? Those accounts, the only thing that you can do with those accounts is you can put those as your master account. So you can put that as the in social, because I know social trader tools, very well. You can put that as the master account, and then you'd have to connect underneath,
whatever
your personal, whatever, right? If you do it the other way around, since EAs are turned off on those accounts on the broker level, it will not register the trades. It will not create the tickets on the trades, and it just won't work. It won't work at all. Yeah, it just won't work. So yeah, you have to use those as the master accounts.
Okay, cool. So with the other ones, they're allowed, but with the standard, it just won't work. But you won't get violated because there's no way to get violated.
Standard and rapid, you can use those as the master. Royal, you can do whatever. You could trade, copy from my Forex funds, copy to my Forex funds. You won't get violated. It just doesn't work. Like if you connect it to social trader tools, it just won't work. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see a lot of my students saying like I always look at the standard. I don't even look at your other accounts. I don't know why. I like the big drawdown and all that stuff. But a lot of people have been doing rapid. I think the one with the 8% drawdown, 8% profit target.
Yeah.
So it's a less of a profit target, I think, but then they get less drawdown as well. Correct? Is that like the main?
Yeah. So to explain it, like the standard is you have a 10% target, but you have a 6% daily, and you have a 12% total. Right. So that's like one of the most appealing to people because you have the big total drawdown. And you also, the standard has the 400K account. So that's the largest account size that's available on the firm. Right. And then the rapid, the perks on that one is the processing time between accounts. So you get from phase 1 to 2, you get faster. Your first payout is in 14 days. So biweekly payouts right away. So you can there's no minimum trading days on the rapid one. So you can pass the rapid in like 3 days and get funded on the 4th day, right? And then you can get paid out in like less than 20 days. So that one definitely is like speed is going to be the main thing. And then to answer your question about the targets, so the target, the max drawdown is 8, the target is 8, the daily is 5. Now the Royal, that one is interesting because the max is 10, the daily is 5, but the target is 8.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So 10, okay, makes sense. Cool. All right. One of the other questions was, are we going to be ever, I actually don't know how much I haven't looked exactly what commission you guys are charging, but I do notice the commission was a little bit high, and people have asked, are you guys looking at reducing the commissions for, I guess one of the brokers has higher commissions. I noticed with ACAP, the commission was kind of a little bit high. Is there any plan? Is it going to stay the same? Does it not matter? Is it just because the raw counts and the commission has to be higher?
Yeah. So one thing that we're constantly trying to do is, what are these improvements that we can make that ultimately don't bankrupt us as a business, right? Don't put us out of business, but put us in a position where from a risk standpoint, we're solid, but we can give up obviously some of what we're getting to pass it along to the client. I think every company in the world is trying to do this, right? What can they pass on to the consumer that can benefit them, but at the same time, they're not ruining, essentially their business, right? So one of the things, I'm personally an advocate for lowering the commissions as much as we possibly can, right? I think that is something that a lot of traders, we did a poll about it. People want lowest commissions, lowest spreads. I think the devil's really details here, because if you go to FTMO, My Forex Funds, any firm that's out there that's a little bit more mature, and you start to trade their maybe phase 2, maybe they're funded, maybe every phase, you're going to start to see slippage, right? You're going to start to see some woes in execution, right? And people see that across our firm as well, right? You're going to see like lapses in execution when you're entering larger lot sizes, stuff like that. Liquidity depletes from the book. You then get a worse price, than you thought you entered on. So really what I'm trying to get at is, if the commissions are 0, the spreads, might be more. If the commission are regular priced, the spreads may be lower. If the commissions and spreads are both 0, the execution is probably terrible, right? So it's kind of like a devil's in the details here of like, it's a combination of all three. So for us as of now, based on the liquidity providers we work with, the certain access that we have to the broker, to the bridge, stuff like this, based on what we have at this moment, we might not be able to make that adjustment for commissions, right? We might not be able to adjust certain things in a way where we can make commission 0. Doesn't mean that later on we can't do that, right? And doesn't mean that it's necessarily like on 8cap, like we're working in combination with 8cap to service us. Now there's people that are like, oh, this firm works with ACAP and they have no commissions and yada, yada, yada. That firm might be 1/20th of the size that we are, right? They might be working on a completely different scale as us. Correct. And I don't, not to say that I know, I really don't know off the top of my head who has low commissions, whatever, but it's like, there really is from firm to firm a very much a differentiation between who's doing what. And that being said, like one of the most important things for us, like how can we ultimately achieve this goal of like no commissions, no spreads, great execution, all of this, is one of the things in the pipeline that is not going to be coming like within a year, 30, whatever, half a year. Right. But what if we created like an app like Robinhood, right? Where everything becomes just on the app. There's not MT4, there's not a dashboard, there's not MT5, there's not this, there's not TradingView. Like what if the app had just as good as charting as TradingView, just as good as execution, as MT4, MT5. There was a list of indicators and like most popular indicators that could be used, right? Like EAs, somehow there's an integration with that. That is the only way we can pull our own data. We can pull our own liquidity per se. Like we can basically buy the liquidity feed, and we can then structure it in a way where all of the execution is very sound, but it makes us able to, we can actually monetize the data a lot more easily. So that's something that comes later on. That's not something we can do right now. I think the shorter step is us buying our own, 8 cap, buying our own server, and then kind of doing it all on our own. But yeah, that's kind of my whole spiel about with commissions and everything.
Okay, so like a potential would be if you guys move to your own broker, there's a possibility of some changes happening at that point, but nothing as of now. It's not a big deal. I didn't notice it to be so big that it made me make like I didn't have to pay too much attention, but I did notice it was a little high, but nothing too crazy. A quick other question was, do you have any plans of adding extra instruments like US oil? I don't know what other instruments people were talking about, but is there any other that people have talked about or requested?
Yeah, once upon a time, we had US oil, we had removed that, we had removed some crypto from the funded accounts when the market kind of went into this very uncertain. For us, assessing our liquidity risks is really like the number one thing. And we're really early. I mean, we're in the second year right now of the company. So we need to really make sure like things that can impose large risks, we have to be very aware of. So I think as we kind of move as a company to start to hire these new positions of like a liquidity risk analyst and like someone manage the cash flow, more professionally than like Carlos or myself are, right? Like as we kind of bring on and expand the team, the opportunity to reintroduce like those types of instruments would probably become more relevant. Like for example, 8cap has like 300 crypto pairs. We would love to offer as many of those as possible, but we really do need to assess what the risks are on doing that, because there does need to be oversight into like all of the pairs that are being traded. So I think US oil is like really the main one. A lot of people have been voicing for that to come back. I think we removed it when it like tanked, 100% or something. Like it was like down so low, and then we like, don't quote me on that, but there was like there was a significant thing that happened with oil due to like fundamentals where we could not really calculate ourselves what the risk would be if someone bought the entire bottom and this thing retraced. Like we just couldn't calculate what the risk would be on that. So I think as we move to hopefully more stable fundamentals or more stable macroeconomic conditions, as a firm, we can like think about reintroducing those. But really, we have our limitations in the sense that, our team needs to continue to expand, bring on new expertise. Someone like FTMO who's got 100+ employees, and a lot of systems that we're still in the beginning stages of creating, they're able to maybe introduce a lot of these instruments that we currently can't assess the risks on. So I just think as the company matures, like those things will come back into the picture.
That's absolutely fine. Okay. I think that was, you answered a lot of really good questions. I think we got to get a good understanding of Angelo as a person and the Funded Trader as a program. You guys have been making so many great changes. And at the speed that you guys are going, I don't even know what to expect. You guys are probably going to come up with some crazy shit like the app you're talking about. And the customer support. I was so happy that day when she literally dealt with all my problems. That really, that really makes a difference as from a consumer standpoint. It really does change people's perspective. I really want to thank you, Angelo, for coming on the podcast today. And I'm sure all of my viewers and everybody's going to enjoy this. And hopefully we'll get you back on soon, or we'll do like an in-person thing at some point when I'm in the States, or we meet up somewhere else. With that, I'm going to end the podcast, and I want to remind everybody that we have a 12% discount. So if you're looking to do a challenge with the Funded Trader program, the link is in the description below.